Alright, so today we're going to do something a little different. We're going to make some soft plastic baits. Got a little fluke type lure here. A little fork tail. Got a creature bait. Here's a little worm I made with a weird little tail there. Here's a pink fluke. So you can make all kinds of these things. I'll show you what you need to do it. So to start with, you need a mold. Now this is a silicone mold, and you can buy these. These things are $6 to $10 depending on the size of them and how many cavities there are. This is a little paddle tail. Here's a little larger paddle tail with a ribbed body. Here's the fluke one. I don't know if you can see that very good on camera or not, but it's raised right here in the middle just a little. And that makes it so that there's this slot in the back of the, or the bottom of the lure for your hook to go through. You can also make your own molds. This is made out of plaster of Paris. This is the worm that I showed you. And these are very, very cheap to make, and I'll show you how to do that someday. You're going to need some plastisol. I'll leave a link to a couple different places you can buy all this stuff. This just looks like milk basically, and we're going to cook this up. It'll turn clear. It'll get kind of thick and lumpy like tapioca pudding. Then it will smooth out again, and when it gets to be about the consistent of maple syrup, you're ready to pour. It is clear, so you will need some coloring. Now if you're on a budget, get black and white. With black and white, you can obviously make black lures and white lures, but you can mix them together and make gray. You can make different shades of gray. You can pour your mold half full and then pour another color over the top of it, so you could make black and white ones, black and gray, white and gray, so on and so forth. And then later you can buy your main colors, your prime colors, yellow, blue, and red. And if you remember from grade school art class, you can mix these together. You know, you can make green, you can make orange, and so on and so forth. And if you don't remember how to do that, I'm sure you can look it up online. You can also get a little color wheel from your art supply store, and this will show you what to use to make certain colors. You can also darken and lighten any color using your white and your black. Later on you might want to get, if you start making a lot of them, you might want to get some special colors. Pretty hard to make chartreuse. Very popular color. There's fluorescent colors, there's metallic colors, there's glow-in-the-dark colors. This is silver. It's pretty hard for me to make a nice silver. This is watermelon. I have watermelon, pumpkin seed, motor oil, a couple things like that that you really can't make. So, glitter is another thing you might want to get. This is not a necessity right away, but this, I've got some green, some gold here. I've got different colors. And you want to make sure you get the right type of stuff. You want to get this from a lure supply store that is made for soft plastics, because other glitter can melt and just makes a mess. And eventually you may want to get some type of scent. You can get different scents. Garlic, coffee, so on and so forth. That's nice. Otherwise your lures just do smell like plastic. There's things like, this is hardener. Now I can make lures out of this on its own. It makes a really hard lure. I can add a little of this to my plastic to make it just a little harder. You can get softeners. You can get ones that make the lure float, ones that make the lure sink, so on and so forth. So then you need a heat source. So I have a camping stove here. You could use your stove, but the thing is, this stuff smells a little bit. It's not horrible, But you know, if you have roommates, a spouse, if you're young and you're living at home, mom and dad might not like it much. I'm out in the garage. I have the garage doors open, and this works pretty well. You can use a hot plate. The best thing to use is a microwave, and that's what I normally use, but I wanted to kind of show you when you're cooking this how it changes consistency. So I'm doing it on a stove today, but a microwave is quicker, it's easier, it's less messy, and you can get a used microwave. I got a used microwave for $2, so in a yard sale. So that's the best way to do, and it's also easier to clean up. I have a couple of pans here. They're Teflon. They work great. You can just pull the plastic out once it's hardened. And I've got little things here to pour with, but they're not super pointed and they don't pour real well. The problem with is the spoon. I used a couple different types of spoons that melted, and then metal spoons will scratch this all up. So I use a wooden spoon, which works, but the stuff really sticks to it and it's hard to get clean. So with the microwave, use a Pyrex measuring cup and a metal spoon. It's very easy to clean up. You'll want some containers because you will probably have some plastic left over. You can see how I pulled that right out of the bottom of the pan. It came out like a nice circle. You can remelt this. You can always use this, so you don't have to worry about using up all the plastic when you first cook it up. You can reuse it, and your baits, not just the ones you make, but even the ones you buy, when they get ripped up or something, like I have fish bite the ends of the tails off a lot. I use hooks with the little screw eyes in there that eventually rips this up and you can't keep the hook in there anymore. Keep them, remelt them. Make new lures out of them. Worm oil is another thing you'll probably want to get. What this stuff does is when you make a lure, it's kind of sticky. It's sort of rubbery, and they stick together in the package. They stick in the package. I put them in Ziploc bags, and they don't feel very natural. And if a fish bites into it, they spit it out pretty quickly. Put some of this stuff on here. You just rub a little bit on, and then they're not sticky anymore. They don't stick to each other. They don't stick in the bag, and fish will hold on to them better, giving you a better hook set. It also makes them shine a little bit, so it's a good thing to have. Don't have to have it right away, but I do highly recommend it. You'll need some cooking spray or oil or something to put in your mold so they don't stick. And that's basically it. It's quite a bit of stuff, but it's not that bad. And it's not super expensive. And if you make a lot of lures, you can save a lot of money. Okay, let's get started. Make sure you shake this stuff up good. I'm going to add a little hardener. And don't take your eyes off this stuff ever. Don't leave the room. You want to make sure you keep stirring it well. I've got my molds all oiled up, ready to go. I think I'm going to do some pumpkin seed, green pumpkin seed, and a little red glitter, I think, is what I'm going to do. I'll go ahead and mix in some of my coloring. Ooh. Glitter in. Now as this cools a little bit, it'll sink down in there a little bit, and you usually want to pour a little more on top of that. That's all there is to it. Okay, let's see how these came out. So you want to let these cool for a few minutes, and then they should just peel right out. Just like that. And as you can see, they don't look very good. They need to be trimmed. So you will need some scissors, maybe a razor blade, and you'll have to trim these up. Coming out nice. Doesn't look like I got any major air bubbles in there or anything. They all look pretty good. See how these came out. These have paddle tails on them, and these are a pain sometimes to fill that tail up. Looks okay. Yeah. It came out good. These have smaller tails, but it looks fairly decent. Needs a lot of trimming. It's a little small. I think it will work though. This one I can see there's an air bubble right there, and I bet this one's bad. Yeah. That's the tail. There's no tail there. So this one's pretty much worthless. But we can just remelt it and pour it again, so it's not a waste. So now I'll get my trusty scissors out, and I'll start trimming all this excess stuff off. Okay, I've been trimming these up. They look a little bit better now. We'll be ready to fish soon. Still do a little trimming on some of these, but pretty close. This little guy right here, I cut his tail off. Oopsie. Not a huge problem. Good as new. That's all you gotta do. Okay, so now I got some new plastic lures. I'm going fishing. Thanks for watching.